Welcome back, Strong Long fans. Guess what I got up? It's the Machine Girls. Uh-oh. Yep. The camera, the iPhone, the radio, the heat lamp, the blowtorch, the vacuum, the magnet and crane and blow dryer. All that type of trouble. Now this episode opens with Flamey the flamethrower. I'll show you what he looks like. Excuse me. Yeah. Sorry. It's yeah. I was just saying excuse me to my dog because he was in the way. That's why I had to stop podcasting there for a second. So yeah. And yeah, he's it opens with Flamey making the Taj Mahal out of lasagna and he made the towers, the 4 towers on each corner of the Taj Mahal. He made them out of taquitos. And he made the dome for the Taj Mahal with a dumpling. Like, yeah. He says, and he shows it to all the strong longs, including Fango. He says, wow, that's cool. And then this is how we see, this this guy. He's controlling this one guy who's like a humanoid, like lizard or like reptile looking guy. He's got 4 eyes and he makes, and that's when he gives and he steals a magnet. And the first thing he does, he steals a crane and then a camera and then an iPhone and a radio and a heat lamp. No, and he steals a blowtorch and he steals a vacuum cleaner. Yeah, he steals a magnet. And he steals a blow dryer. He says, huh? Yeah. And yeah, he steals all of those and then he just steals all of them. He steals the camera, the iPhone, the radio, the heat lamp, the blowtorch, and the vacuum, and the magnet, and let's say it's actually a flashlight he stole, and he stole a crane and a blow dryer. Yeah, he stole it with this magical machine, he says. And then he also, yeah. Well, this part isn't what we're on yet, because we're still on Flamey and his Taj Mahal food sculpture he made. And that's when we cut to a scene where he's showing it to all the people. And then he says, hey there, huh? You see everyone, he says, I got one. He says, hey, that's my sculpture. Wait, you jerk. Yeah. Actually, that's what he's going to say when he eats it. Because then, well, we're not on that part yet. First he shows it to everybody. And we cut to a scene where he's showing it to everybody. He's getting money for it. And that's when we cut to he says, this is fun, isn't it? And then that's when Hacker says, oh no, the Dream Gate just opened. He says, Dream Gate? What's that? It's the thing that those monsters that Fango's been fighting comes from. Wait, you mean those big like behemoth girls that it's been coming from like strange meteors? Yeah, but this is what but the thing that came through the Dream Gate is also what I'm also detecting it, not just the Dream Gate opening. Huh? It's like a spaceship. He sees that it's a starship, and it's like this dragon that says, hey, what's up? And then he steals everybody. Yeah. And then we cut to outer space, where the spaceship. He's looking around. He says, we see that Fango's looking for something. And that's when he sees him steal a spaceship, and he steals first he steals a camera, then an iPhone. When he's going to steal, we see he steals a magnet and a flashlight and a radio and a lighter. And he steals a vacuum, and then he comes over to of course he steals the crane, and then he comes over to Fango's house while Flamey's looking for more people to get paid. Well, more people shows up, and after a few of the people, he makes this one person before the alien showed up. He says Fango is hanging out with him outside, and then he shows up at their house. He says, "Whoa, what's that?" look who we have here. Hey, you like, he says, whoa, stand back, Flamey. Give me your blow dryer. What? Your blow dryer. What about it? Give it here. What for? He walks up to him. Now. Says, okay, fine. Ooh, what's this? Huh? What are you doing? And he eats the Taj Mahal sculpture. He says, hey! What's wrong with you? That's what Flamey says. And then the alien says, delicious food. He says, that's my sculpture, he says, that's my sculpture you ate, you jerk! And then, he says, and unfortunately, it was delicious. Now get out of here. He says, man, I worked so hard on that. Well, actually, it wasn't that hard, but it was cool. I'm gonna make a bigger one that he says, next time somebody from another planet like that eats my artwork, I'm gonna make it big enough that they won't eat it. I guess I'll make the Eiffel Tower out of a whole bunch of, I guess I'm gonna make the US Bank Tower. He says, maybe I'm gonna make the Eiffel Tower out of out of like Bella wafers. Those rectangular cookies. Maybe I'm gonna make the Eiffel Tower out of a whole bunch of crackers. See how it gets him. Or maybe the US Bank Tower out of chocolate chip cookies. Or maybe make Big Ben out of... Yeah, he says, probably gonna make the Eiffel Tower out of graham crackers next time. Make it out of a whole bunch of them. That dude won't be able to eat it all. We'll see. He says, we'll see how he tries to deal with it. He says, guess I'll make Big Ben out of graham crackers or something. The clock tower in London. See how he'll try and eat that. He ain't gonna eat that now. He says, he says, get me the blow dryer now. And then Fango says, okay, fine, I'll give it to you. Jeez. Fango knew he was trying to steal it, and then he runs to the blow. Then he just runs to the house and he says, yeah, we see that Flamey actually goes inside to make another sculpture. That's when you see, and then that's when he says, oh no, I'm getting inside. He hides in his room. He says, here. He hides in the washer room. He says, don't move huh? Guess who it is? I'm getting out of here. He turns, he says, I'm going. He says, he just laughs as he runs and hides. He says, okay, don't go out there. Hide in here. There's a bad guy. He came into our house. The blow dryer. Here it is. Now it's time to go back to my ship. He says, thanks, man. He says, you're welcome, I guess. He says, then he flies away. And then that's when we see, and yeah, he flies away. He says, and that's when he says, coast is clear. Okay, there's a man outside. No, stay focused. So yeah, he says, and they come out of the washer room with the lights turned off. He says, coast is clear. Everything's safe. He says, you guys okay? Yeah, we hid in the washer room. I noticed him coming. And I noticed Dimey was with, I noticed Axel and this other kid. I told them to keep it down so this guy wouldn't get us or anything. It looked like he was going to try and kill me. No, he wasn't trying to kill you. He was just trying to take our blow dryer from us. He's a thief. Indeed, he is a thief. Is he gone now? Yeah, he's gone. He flew away in his ship. He says, well, yeah, too bad he ate my sculpture. That's why I was hiding. It's actually the second reason why I was hiding from him. In case he looked like, it's probably like, in case he probably was finding out. He was trying to see if I was planning on making another sculpture. Well, I was, but I didn't want to show him. That's why I hid from him. It looked like he was about to eat another sculpture that I would have built. Okay, sorry about that. I was in my mind. And yes, so Fango's like, don't worry, guys. He's gone now. Well, for now, maybe. Yeah, I think returns to Lunerboonie. This dude said, now. The master of the Lunerboonie says, now what is this we see? It's mine. He says, you see that? Now, he shows him the, like, how these things works. He says, well, indeed. See, this building's actually a skyscraper. He says, and this lizard man. This girl is clearly. He says, I have an idea what. He shows him the camera, iPhone, radio, flashlight, and lighter and vacuum and magnet and crane and blow dryer. He says, now turn. This is how they work. He says, and then we can make these into one of our Lunerboonies. That's when we see it was a great idea, and then they put them through a machine which magically turns them into robots that works the same way they work. And then that's when he says, listen, he says, now go back to Earth and destroy the strong lungs. And then they make like a yes sir type move. And then they attack. And then they get sent through the dream gate, and then we see Fango. We cut back to the strong ones. We see that Flamey's working on a new project, a new landmark sculpture. He's making Big Ben out of graham crackers. Okay, and cookies. Better not. Okay. Oh, cookies. The 4 cookies are dumb. Now not dumb, but done. He says, not dumb, but they're done. The 4 cookies are done. Now it's time to glue this bad boy together. And then he puts some on the old like cute. He says, who puts a scoop of ice cream on top, and then puts the flag. He says, And then he takes it outside and says, "Hey, y'all." He says, "Hey." He just comes outside. He says, "I swear to strong lungs, if that dude comes back and eats this sculpture, I'm gonna call the cops on him. And he's gonna get his butt whipped by Officer Sprinkles or Officer Randy." He says, "And either Officer Randy or Officer Sprinkles he's gonna get his butt whipped by them. Or perhaps Grummet the crocodile." I mean, that guy was kind of a crocodile. He's just some sort of reptile-looking creature. Or maybe the rhino, whatever his name is. He's gonna get his butt whipped since he's the toughest officer in Stronglands. The only reason why I don't want to burn anybody else's butt but Fangy. I only burn Fangies. I only burn my friends, like the people who lives with us, except Axel and Dimey. I just tell them, I would just try and get their attention with an air horn. Yeah. He doesn't want to like burn anybody else's butt. Not the police officer. He says, "Officer! Officer!" And that's when we see everybody. Bully says, "Whoa, can I eat that, please?" He says, "What? No, you can't eat this." "Why not? It's my sculpture. It's a project. You can't." "I know it's made out of delicious food, but it's not made for eating. It's made to show off." "Well, I did make one before, but some idiot alien reptile came and ate it. And so that's why I had to make this one." Somebody said, Hey, a new sculpture." "Huh, what happened to your Taj Mahal sculpture?" And he says, "Hey, weren't you supposed to have a Taj Mahal sculpture here? What happened to your Taj Mahal sculpture?" He says, "Some idiot reptile alien dude came here and ate it. He just came here and ate it. I told him not to, but he says some ruthless idiot alien reptile came. He came to our house just to take our blow dryer and then he saw my sculpture and then he ate it." Yeah, he explains. He says, "Some ruthless alien reptile dude came and destroyed." He says, "Some ruthless idiot alien reptile dude came over and he ate it. And then after that he went inside to steal the blow dryer from the bathroom." He's a blow dryer thief. He didn't just steal he didn't just steal your blow dryer. He stole I saw him. He must have been the one who stole my magnet. My fancy horseshoe-shaped magnet. He stole the crane to our construction site. He stole my camera. He stole my phone. And he stole my radio. He stole my flashlight. And he stole my lighter for when I was lighting fireworks. I was gonna light off some fireworks, and then I caught him stealing the lighter. Yeah, I was using a lighter to light up some fireworks. I was trying to test out some fireworks, but he came over and stole my lighter. And he stole my vacuum cleaner. And he stole my vacuum cleaner while I was cleaning up my carpet. The dumb thief. Oh, good thing I got my penny. No, stay focused. Sorry about that. Yeah, and everybody's just like telling who else, like other people, they're upset at him as well. Yeah, of course he stole your stuff. He stole our blow dryer. And what's he gonna do with? Yeah, he's probably from planet Lunerboon. He must be parts of the Lunerboonies. He must be master of the Lunerboonies. Who knows? He says, yeah, he might as well be. Indeed, said Officer Randy. When he comes back, he's gonna get his butt whipped. And then Flamey says, and then Flamey says, yeah, he said, yeah, that's when we hear Flamey say, and that's when we hear Flamey say, yeah, that's the one, that's what I want to hear. Thank you, Officer Randy. You're quite welcome, Flamey. Have you been good, by the way? Yeah, been pretty gosh darn stinking good. He says, that's great, man. This guy who we're dealing with hasn't been good. He's been a bad, bad boy. And everyone around says, he certainly has. Yeah. Yeah, they did not like what that dude did. Stealing stuff from other people. He says, yeah, that's right. Stealing's a crime. And that's when the governor says, yeah, this guy, when he gets back, you people who got your stuff, the people who had your items stolen, you go over there and you take them back from him and you teach him a lesson. Okay? Yeah, especially for when he ate my Taj Mahal sculpture made out of food. Yeah. I just made a new one, so to show off to everybody. He says, wait, look! Wait, he ate... And everybody gasps. He says, did they? And the guy said, did he really eat your Taj Mahal sculpture? And is that why I'm seeing a new sculpture made of food? He says, yeah, it's a Big Ben dessert sculpture. Because, he says, whoa, get a look at this! Also, we're very sorry he ate your Taj Mahal sculpture made of, like your, yeah, his Taj, yeah, they say, also, we're very sorry he, he says, also, we're very, very sorry he ate your Taj Mahal's food sculpture. I'm sure you worked so hard on that. He says, not too hard. It wasn't that hard to build. It was just made out of lasagna and, I forgot what it's called. It's what I use for the towers, yeah. Something with T. It starts with a T. Those, like, smaller versions of burritos. And I used a dumpling for the dome. Says, yeah, that's a good job, man. We love that. It's pretty darn stinking cool. Yeah. And then all of a sudden, yeah. And then that's when we see the dream. Hacker says, uh-oh, the dream gate's opening. He says, again? Didn't you explain what that thing was earlier? He says, yeah. Yeah, just as I thought. Thing where those female those female monsters been coming through. Not all of them were females, I saw. Some of them were men, but still bad. Yeah, they certainly were. But which Lunerboonie could this one be? I don't know. Maybe Fango should. I heard Fango was the one who was fighting them. Fango, you go. Whichever Lunerboonies those are, you go out there and teach them a lesson. Says, indeed, I will, said Fango, and he gets in his mecha suit and gets to where they crash landed. Says, alright, you Lunerboonie, show yourself. And then he says, I'll say, huh! And then you can go like, they come out and say, surprise! They say it very aggressively. They say, surprise! We see this. We see that the blow dryer girl says, did you miss me? And then he grabs Fango in his mecha suit and embraces him. Like, I mean, hugs and kisses it. He says, ugh, gross. Well, actually not that gross. Do you not know what are, oh, wait a minute. Are you, they all laugh. Let's say these Lunerboonies can talk, too. He says, Well, is that what he used you? Is that why he took that dude's camera and that other dude's iPhone and that other dude's radio and that other dude's flashlight and that other dude's lighter and that other dude's vacuum cleaner and that other dude's magnet and that other dude and that construction worker's crane and our blow dryer? And he says, and that other dude's crane, aka that construction worker's crane, and last but not least, our blow dryer. Is that what he was trying to do? He says, yeah. Wait, what do you mean? He says, yeah. He says, wait, how did you know that we were based off of all that? Because I heard that this dude stole those, let's see how many. He says, I was told that those 9 things were stolen. He says, those 9 types of tools were stolen, except one's a vehicle. He says, whatever, kid. And then a seagull, they grab a bird that flies by. He grabs it like, he says, ah! Hey, let me go, you big, great son of a gun. He says, big, great son of a gun, huh? He says, but then that's when, wait, did you not manage to see our friend? She's a gun. Or, she's a tank. Yeah, and I think I had her on. Sorry, she's one that I haven't added yet. Let's put her on right now. Or maybe she's, okay, I thought I had like a machine gun girl. So she won't be in her. Or maybe I do, I just don't see. Or let me look. Okay, it doesn't look like I have a machine gun girl, but at least we have the other 9. It says, guess what, you? It says, you know what you gotta do? You gotta go home and get out of here. It says, we're not going anywhere. That's when we see the magnet girl use her. He says, we're gonna terrorize. We'll get out of here after we terrorize your town. That's when we see the camera. We just see she takes pictures of random things. She just destroys something. She crushes a car and then takes a picture of it. She sends it to, she gives it, and then she gives it to the iPhone lady. And we see the radio girls just using her loud music to cause earthquakes. She's even singing along to it. And yeah, the loud sound waves of her music's causing destruction. Yeah, let's say Fango's got like a storm cloud looking mecha suit. He says, you wanna deal with me? Deal with me right now. And that's, we just see all the chaos they're causing. We see that the magnet girl uses her magnets on a suspension bridge. Whoa, look at what Magneta's doing. Yeah, her name is Magneta. Well, the magnet girl's name is. Raven says, yeah, this one dude says, get off the bridge! It's being attracted by 2 large magnets. Run! Quick! Get off it! Yeah, he just tells everyone to get off the bridge. Hey, what up? That's so funny. This one's a good one. We see that. Now, we see the people, like the owners of those things. And then that's when we see they all pretty much got like men's voices, like with like different like styles. We see that the radio says, hey, let's say that the radio was actually owned by Bentley. And Bentley says, "Hey, what are you doing?" "Hey, Bentley, did you miss me? How about you try this? Yeah, I want you back normal, not back like that." The radio girl, she pushes Bentley away with her. And she says, "Hey, Bentley, did you miss me?" And then Bentley says, "How could? Oh, come on." He says, "Hi." And he says, "I thought you were my radio, but I want my radio back the way it was. I don't want my radio." She says, "How about you try this?" "Yeah, and I don't want," he says, as he's talking, he says, "I don't want my radio like that." And then her loud music pushes him across the ground. He says, "Come on, I want my radio. I want my real radio back. I don't want my radio back as a big girl who destroys the city with her music. That's not what I got my radio for. I got my radio for dancing. Don't you know how much money I paid for that thing?" Yeah, that's what he says as he's running by the strong one who's trying to get his vacuum back. Let's say it was let's say it was actually let's see who it was. Let's say it was actually let's see. Let's say it was actually like Kyle, who's a robot. And we see, or maybe no, we see that this guy name, or let's say it was Clark, or let's say it was probably let's say it was actually this one guy named Marlin, who was one of the human strong lungs. He says, or maybe I wouldn't say it was Marlin. Let's say it was actually let's see, I gotta look through my other strong lungs. Let's say it was actually Brainy, or Benton the Brain, and Benton was like, "Hey, he says, "My vacuum cleaner." "Hey, girl." He says, "Hey, Brainy, did you miss me?" He says, "I thought you were my vacuum cleaner. No wonder why you know my name. Don't you even know what I got you for?" "What?" "I got you because I buyed my vacuum cleaner so it could clean up messes in my house, not so it could just suck up cars and buildings and trucks and houses. Not so it could just suck up cars and trucks and houses and buildings and left turn and not. And I didn't make it so it could suck up towers. I didn't get my vacuum cleaner so it could suck up cars and trucks and buildings and houses and water towers and traffic lights and yeah." He says, and she asks, "Why did you mention water towers and traffic lights? Or billboards or bridges or signs or street lights or power lines?" He says, Wait. Before you explain more, why did you mention water towers and traffic lights?" Because of the left turn signal water towers. Don't you know you're destroying those as well?" She says, "Yeah. I'm not just destroying them, I'm sucking it up. Now I'm gonna suck up the semi. Don't suck up that truck." He says, the reason why I mention water towers and traffic lights, because water towers are put next to traffic lights, only ones with left turn signals. The signalized intersections. Yeah, we see, that's when we see Brainy explain about the left turn signal water towers, why he mentioned water towers and traffic lights. I don't even want cell towers being sucked up by my vacuum cleaner. Love my vacuum cleaner so much, but I can't believe that dumb alien reptile bozo turned it into this big girl. One that's big enough to destroy the entire city. And that's when we see Sid the Rainbow say, That's when we see the construction worker, Tori. Not Tori. We see like one of our construction workers. We see that. Let's say it was Edgar the elephant. He says, "Hey, I want my crane back." And then the crane girl says, "Hey, Edgar, how you like my big new wrecking ball?" Stop it! I didn't like you. I drove that crane. Don't you know what I used you for? I used you for demolition and construction. He said, "Well, don't you know demolition's destruction?" I said, "Yeah." He says, demolition's like destruction that is not, it's like destruction that is required because something, yeah. I did not make you because demolition. I used you because you're my structure, and I used you to like take down buildings that had to be taken down. I did not use my crane just to destroy random buildings that did not have to be taken down. I did not use my crane to terrorize the town. I used my crane to build buildings and take down buildings that had to be taken down. I'm taking down buildings I want to take down. Now your crane wants to take down buildings she wants to take down. Says, "Well, I want my crane to stop. Or I want you to stop." Says, "Goodbye, kid." And then she says, He says, "Here, have a lollipop." Fine. He says, "Fine." He says, "Okay, fine." And then she just leaves, and then after she gives the lollipop to him, and then Edgar says, "Okay, fine." And then that's when we cut to the owner of the flashlight. He says, "Where's my flashlight?" Let's say it was Bolton who owned that flashlight. Bolton, like the old alien looking guy. I'll show you what Bolton looks like. Bolton shows up and says, "Where's my flashlight? Show yourself." "I'm right here, Bolton." "Ah, you're huge. I forgot. You're even bigger than me now. My flashlight was never that big." "I'm sure it certainly wasn't." And then she crawls onto her. And he says, "Now let me tell you something. The truth is, I wasn't really. And then I was just forced to be. We weren't truly born evil." Yeah, she explains that. Yeah. And yeah, truthfully, the Lunerboonies weren't really born evil. They were cast to be evil. The dumb master of the Lunerboonies cast us to be evil. Yeah, even after he stole my flashlight and turned it into you. The master stole, that big reptile dude who was oh yeah, that reptile guy. Yeah, of course, that guy, aka your master of the your master has created you. No, actually, that guy is not the master. And people says huh? This is what the master really is. He's actually a skyscraper. A skyscraper, that was just one of his, workers. His minions. Who helped him. He helped him steal all that stuff, and then he made your flashlight into me. You know? Says, truthfully, I just, he cast us to be evil, including me. So you're not directly just evil. But I want to be. So let me be evil. Oh, man. I really love my flashlight. If I could marry my own flashlight, I could do that. But not when it's evil. especially like that. And that's when we see. And that's when we see. That's when we see. Like. And that's when we see. And that's when we see Stanley, who's mad. Stanley the kite show up, trying to get his. He's trying to get his. We see Dwight trying to get his. We see Stanley who sees his. He's trying to get his magnet back. He says, "Listen, girl, would you stop destroying? Would you stop grabbing so many metal structures and cars and trucks and attracting them to your magnet?" She says, "Well, if it isn't the boy Stanley, who's a kite." And Stanley says, "Aha, aha, my magnet knows me. And it's a big mean girl who's destroying the city for fun. Because she thinks it's because her master told her to. Yeah, indeed. And it's always gonna be fun. Look at this. Ah! Dude, you almost... Listen here. My magnet. Actually, my new name is Magneta. Whatever, Magneta. You have caused so much chaos, and it's horrible, and you nearly crushed me with that semi-truck. I want my real magnet back." And that's when we see Sager, the suitcase. He says, "Listen here." He says, "I'm gonna get my. I was just trying to test out some fireworks, and then, that gosh darn, like, alien reptile thief came over and stole my blowtorch and turned it into a big girl. Listen, I'm gonna find her. Surprise! Ah! Did you miss me, Sager? I'm gonna miss you for as long as I can miss you. I can't believe that dude turned you into a big... Can't believe that dude turned you... That big alien laser bozo turned you in... Like, turned my blowtorch into you." And she says, "I don't get it. That guy was just trying to give me life, that's all." "No, he wasn't just trying to give you life. He was trying to give you life so you could destroy our city." Truthfully, I was crazy. And then, truth was, I am the craziest one. I'm gonna be the craziest girl. Watch and wait until I breathe fire. And then she breathes fire. She takes a deep breath and she's going. Sager's like, "Whoa!" She breathes in. "That's not what I made you for. I didn't use my lighter so I could burn down the city. I used it so I could, like, launch the fireworks that are meant to come out of the cooling towers for our, like daily festival. You know, won't be happening today, kid." And he says, "Oh yeah? How about you tell it to the judge?" And then she says, "I don't know, I'm bigger than the judge now. You see?" That's when we see, let's say, that this one strong one. Let's say, Barry the Burger is the one who owned the vacuum. Let's say he was the one who had the camera. He says, "Hey, camera, where's my camera? I was just trying to take a picture of my friends in front of an ice cream shop. I was just trying to take a picture of my friends in front of an ice cream truck, Yeah, like right next to an ice cream truck smiling. Yeah, let's say it was actually an ice cream truck rather than an ice cream shop. Like, rather than a creamery. He says, and now my gosh darn camera wanted to be turned into a big girl. Is Barry looking for me? Look. Now look into my eye. Oh yeah, you're a Cyclops, aren't you? And then she takes a picture. He says ah! Get a load of this! Look, it's you! Hey, can I have that? Sure. Well, I want to keep this one for myself. I'm actually going to keep this one for myself. So I can see the upset, the blinded look on your face. It's not funny, camera. I didn't use you so you could just destroy things and then take pictures of damaged property or vehicles. I used you to take pictures of all the fun stuff I've done. Like, take pictures of my friends and then put them on my corkboard. How about you start putting all these pictures of chaos on your corkboard? I don't put pictures of chaos on my corkboard. I only put those pictures and photographs of my friends. I only put pictures and photographs of my friends on my corkboard. Why are you people? Why is our stuff already turned into big, mean girls? Oh, this is horrible. That's when we see. That's when we see, yeah, and that's when we, yeah. And this is the part where we see Ovi the Oval. He says, he's going for his vacuum. He says, I want my vacuum back. I haven't finished cleaning my house yet. And I want my vacuum back to clean up my house. I haven't finished, or wait, did we already do the vacuum? Who was the vacuum again? No. Yeah, I think the vacuum was someone else. Yeah. He says, let's say it was Brendan the star. He says, I want my iPhone back. He says, I want my iPhone back. I used it all. Let's say Olvie had the iPhone. Huh? Hey. He says, I want my iPhone back. I used it for so many stuff. I used it so I could play video games on it and chat on and text with my friends. Not so it could just destroy the city. Now that it does have that type of power. It's crazy, y'all. Yeah. Okay, so yeah. Maybe, yeah. Maybe Olvie should, or maybe we could say that the main strong one, and then let's say it was actually like Clyde who had his it was like Ralph who had his. Let's say it was like Ralph who had his vacuum stolen. I think. Well, we can stick with Ralph. So, like, in case I didn't do the vacuum, I can tell you the vacuum again. I know yeah. Yeah, let's do the vacuum before we do Olvie and his phone. Let's say Ralph had his, vacuum stolen. He said, I want my vacuum back. Whatever happened to it, I'm gonna get it back. I didn't make it. He says, we meet again, Ralph. And not to be friends. It's to fight each other. He says, I'm not fighting you, I'm trying to get you back. And I'm gonna come over and says once Fango destroys you for turning my vacuum cleaner into yourself, I'm gonna tear all your parts, like your systems out of your body so you stop being such a jerk, he says. He says, well, if that's what you want to do, we can just go home and say and never meet again. And that's when we cut to Ovi. He says, I used my vacuum to clean up the messes in my house. Yeah, I think we did the vacuum. Let's say that, Ralph. So let's just cut to Ovi. He says Ovi and his phone. He says, I used my phone to watch videos on and play games on and to call my friends on and to and I used my phone to play games on, like to text with my friend. I used it to play games on. And now all of a sudden, that dumb bozo alien reptile showed up and took it and turned it, and then he had to, and then that, yeah, and so actually I say it's not truly just your fault. He says, now it can't be your fault that he turned my phone into you. It's his fault. But I'm gonna get my phone back after I turn you back into my phone, which I highly doubt is gonna happen. But I'm still gonna get revenge on that crazy alien reptile dude. He tells her. Yeah, he just tells her. He says, I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna kick that dude's butt, and then I'm gonna tie him to a chair, and then send him to the police and not even tell him that I kicked his butt before I sent him over. Because I would probably tie him. He says, so what have you done? He says, and then he says, are you sure? Huh. I'm sure mangling a burglar can be a crime. Not for this, it ain't. Oh, no. Mugging a burglar. Not when you're trying to get your stuff back if it's a robber. Mugging a robber won't be a crime. Because you're trying to get your stuff back, and then you tie him up so he can't take your stuff, and so the police can get to him. And then arrest him. And then you can, give people their stuff back. And that's how you do it, y'all. You Robert. And he says, and after I turn you back to normal, he says, because on the other hand, I guess I'm gonna have to get a new phone. Fango says, it's not even my blow dryer. That was actually, whose blow dryer was that? That was, sorry about that. That was, Bergie's. Or no, that was Ramby's. Ramby says, oh, wait, I was Ramby's blow. I'm just kidding, Fango. Hey, I wasn't your blow dryer now. Now, Fango, can't you start yelling at me and saying I want my blow dryer back? You weren't my blow dryer. You were Ramby's blow. You were Dimey's blow dryer. Dimey comes over and says, listen, he says, you weren't Dimey's blow dryer. You were Axel's. Yeah. She looks down at Axel, and then we cut to Axel saying, yeah, you were my blow dryer. I want my blow dryer back as a blow dryer, not my blow dryer back as a huge girl. How about you feel some extreme heat? How about you feel some nice, refreshing heat? And then he says, that's too hot. Sunburn. It feels like sunburn. I'm getting out. I better run. Oh, I can't move as fast. He says, you stop it. And then And that's the first one he pushes. He says, "Hey! Thanks, Fango, that was really burning." He says, he says, "You ain't gonna..." And then, once the other machine girls notices that, she says, "Hey! If that's how that dude wants to act, we'll show him. Take a picture of him getting beaten up." And that's when the vacuum girl says, "Now take a picture of him getting beaten up." And then they start, and then they says, "Ah!" And he says, "Oh no, you don't. Ah! Oh, what? Ha ha! Ah! Oh! What you gonna do now, huh?" And that's when Barry says, "You stole my camera. I'm gonna get my revenge on." He says, "Well, now my camera's mugging Fango. I'm gonna now have to mug my own camera." Yeah. Now, since I don't remember who owned the vacuum, let's say it was maybe Ralph the Mount, or maybe let's say it was Stormy, maybe Dusty the Dust Stormy. He says, "I want my vacuum back." He says, "I want my vacuum back." He says, "Now take a picture of him getting his head sucked into my one single long nostril. Actually, it's a trunk. No, take a picture of him getting his mecha suit's head stuck in my trunk." He says, like, "Ah! Cosmo, stop biting the gate." Oh no. Sorry about that. Yeah. Hold on! Sorry about that. So yeah, Fango was fighting them. We see Dusty's yelling at them. Or maybe the vacuum should be owned by Ralph. He says, "That vacuum wasn't even supposed to be gray." Or let's say it was a green vacuum cleaner. I could change the vacuum girl's color to green soon, maybe. I could change it to green. I'll do that later. One day. And then Ralph says, "Now my beautiful green vacuum cleaner's blemished by that dumb alien reptile. After I kick this girl's butt, I'm gonna kick that alien reptile's butt. And he's gonna learn a lesson once and for all." That's not his at all. I think it'd be better if it was owned by Dusty. So yeah, Dusty was like, let's say it's owned by Dusty, and Dusty says, "Listen here, dude, this is what I want back. I want my stuff back." Or actually, it was Brainy's back. No, Brainy was, I think he was the Flash. Or I don't know. But yeah, the strong one, maybe let's say Brainy was the flashlight. Yeah, he says, and let's say Dusty was the vacuum cleaner. Once I remember, I'll tell ya. So yeah, let's say Brainy owned the flashlight, or no, Bolton was the one who had the flashlight, and Saker had the blowtorch, and Dusty has the vacuum cleaner. Let's say Brainy owned the magnet, and Edgar had the crane. Bentley had the radio. Barry had the camera, and Olvie had the iPhone, and last but not least, Axel had the blow dryer. He says, "No wonder why that dude came to our house. He came to steal the blow dryer." He says, "Come on, Axel, get in your... Now it's time for you." He says, "I'm giving you my mecha suit." He says, "Now you're gonna fight it." And then we see Axel's the one who defeats these girls. He says, "Fight!" And he goes like, "Ah!" And everyone's like going crazy. And they're like, and then this is like the craziest battle you ever seen, like the craziest Lunerboonie battle. So yeah, we see that that Dusty, yeah, we see they're all fighting. He says, "Come on, y'all! Did you lose your?" He says, "I'm giving you a mecha suit." He says, "Wait, these guys don't know how it works." Yeah, actually we don't. Here, I'll show them how it works. See this? Look, this is how it works. He says, "Oh, now that's easy." He says, "Look," he says, yeah, and then he says, "Okay, now get in and teach those girls a lesson." He says, "Oh no, there's 9 of them! Look!" It's so funny because now they're all fighting. He says, "Listen here, you won't be doing this for long." And then they're just fighting and fighting and fighting until they just can't stop. They just can't stinking stop because it's a crazy battle. It says they're fighting and fighting and fighting after, and then that's all of a sudden. That's when they end up. That's when they throw them into. Let's say they defeat them with these he says like you know, like these law, like these like signs, and that's when they slam them into a power plant, or not a power plant. They do each thing with them. They tie them together. Yeah. He says, "You know what you're gonna do? You're gonna get this." And let's say they throw them into like one of the power line towers, and let's say they defeat them with one of the power line towers. He says, "You're gonna feel this now." Yeah, I don't mean like the pylons, but like giant like telephone pole towers. That's like power line towers. That's what the strong ones invented. And then they use those to attack. And then they grab, and then they use those, and then they all fall, and then he pushes the girls over. He says, and they all scream. They say, "Ah!" And they crushes each one of them, and then they die. He says, Fango says, and the governor says, "Well, too bad I don't get a reward. These guys are the ones who's getting a reward. And Axel's getting himself another reward." He says, "Boom! I did it! I did it!" And he says, "Woo!" And then these girl says, "Oh, we're gonna miss the radios." The blow dryer says, "I'm gonna miss you, Axel." Axel says, "I'm gonna miss you too, but not for this." He says, "Goodbye, you twisted monster. Here, you guys say it to your item, like what you own." And they say, "Goodbye, you twisted monster. They ain't gonna miss ya." He says, "Actually, we are kind of." One of them says it. And then says, "Actually, we are kind of." And that's when we see them. And then that's when we cut to planet Lunerboonie, and that's when we see the master of the Lunerboonies kick. He says, "You know," he says, that's when we zoom out, and that's when we cut to them. We cut to planet Lunerboonie where he's watching them on a monitor. He says, "You know what?" He says, "You know what? I agree with those guys." And then the alien reptile's like, "What are you doing?" Ah! He's like, "What are you doing?" Ah! And he kicks him. He grabs him and he kicks his butt as he pushes him over, and then we just cut to like the camera angle only shows him. He doesn't like it just shows him like it's like just pointing up at the master of the Lunerboonies, because it's like it's like how I'm censoring him kicking his butt. He says, "Ugh!" And then it cuts to the face of the reptile. It says, "Ow! Oh, it hurts! Oh, stop it! Stop!" And then And then all of a sudden, and then he stops, and then he says, then we cut to him, he's the master of the Lunerboonie, says, those guys, he says, that's absolute, he says, I guess, he says, you should have thought of something better. Next time, one day, and I'm saying, one of these monsters has to at least not fail me. But too bad these ones did. Ugh. Why are they doing this? It's so crazy. I can't believe this is happening. And that's when we cut to planet Lunar. That's when we cut back to Earth. And that's when we see Fango says, ah. That's when the owner says, here. Huh? Hey, Fango. Huh? Look. Oh, it's a reward. Wait, aren't those guys supposed to give me... Or wasn't he supposed to give those guys a reward? He says, well, I couldn't leave you without a reward because you were the one who shared your mecha suits with those people. And you let them get revenge on that dude by destroying his own work. Actually, and then that's when he... Also, I just noticed, he says, uh-oh, the dream gate just opened again. He says, what? Not again. But, he says, wait, but I'm detecting another spacecraft. He says, oh no, it must be another thief. Better bring my sculpture. And he says, hey, get a load. I guess this guy gets a reward for his sculpture. He says, oh, thank you. He gives him a whole, we see Flame, he gets a reward for some. And that's when we see this. He says, what? It just lands and he's, what? Ow. What? Is this what came through the dream gate? Wait, it says, Dear Fango and Ralph and Brainy and Bolton and Edgar and Axel and it says Fango and Barry and Olvie and Bentley and yes, of course Sager. It says and Sager. I had to agree with you on saying that I kicked the alien reptile's butt because he failed me. And then he says and then the people and the owners who had and then Ralph, and then we see that Barry, Olvie and Bentley and Bolton and Sager and Ralph and Brainy and Edgar and Axel cheers, and then Hacker looks at them and they look at him, and then all 9 of those people cheers, and Bingo says, they go like, woo! That's good news for all of us! And then Flamey says, yeah, that's what we did it! They all cheer, and it just ends with them, and then that's how the episode ends. It just ends like that, which is fun.